Today's huge. I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the Crystal Clarity Podcast. My name is Sarah Thomas, and today you're going to learn about probably the most life-changing, life-altering state of consciousness that you could ever experience. I want to connect 3 stones into that state of consciousness. So we'll talk about those two and how they relate. And I also want you to stick around if you're interested in building light in your rooms, building light in your homes, building light in your land, like augmenting the love and light in your spaces, which is so important for the work that you may do in those spaces, especially if it's spiritual work. And this state of consciousness that we're going to talk about today is something that is truly miraculous. It's one of the most important things I've ever learned in my life. So without any further waiting, I'll see you inside the episode. Well, again, welcome to the Crystal Clarity Podcast. So today's episode is really special. It's about the genesis of light. And in the last episode, we actually talked about building a grid to protect your home or protect your yard or protect your space, and tapping into some metaphysical properties of stones to do that, just like the ancient builders did. And, there's kind of 2 ways, if you want to be really simple, about looking at space and the vibration of space. And the 2 ways are, you can think about protection and transmutation, like the protection and transmutation of dense energy or relieving or composting energy in the space. And the other one would be, what do you add? How do you generate energy in a space? How do you regenerate energy? How do you amplify light? Like, what are you adding? What are you receiving? What are you bringing in? And I want to start talking with you about that today. And I have something this is a teaching that changed my life. It's such a simple teaching. I will remember it forever. I'm so glad you're here, that you get to listen and tune into this. This is something that was taught to me by literally a 70,000-year-old tradition out of India. And I know 70,000 years sounds like a long time ago, and that's literally the roots of this wisdom that we're about to talk about today. And it leans into the fact that, we're always working with stones and crystals, and we also know that we are the magical tool. It's like we are this living, literally multidimensional quantum technology. Our bodies, our spirits, our souls, it's more advanced than any quantum computer. It's more advanced than any tool. And we are the magical tool. And when we walk into a room, that's what shifts the room, right? When we walk into a space, when we walk onto the land. So this is about connecting with the tool that we are. And then, at the end of the day, it's like we realize that we're the magical tool. The crystals can reflect us, mirror us, amplify who we are, direct, broadcast, harmonize, regulate who we are, and we are the ultimate magical tool. So in the generation of light, in the process of, how do I call as much light to this space as possible, we want to focus on one very special state from an ancient teaching. And let's get into that. Okay, so the thing that I want to talk to you today is okay, so here we go. When we come into this life, we so early on accumulate all of these programs. We are like a crystal chip where we get downloaded with tons of programs, beliefs, and perceptions. And they're all in our subconscious, and they come in at the moment of conception. When we're in the womb, they come in our birth process. Like, all of these early phases are holograms of how the rest of our life will be. And so our programs, we have millions of programs, right? They can be good programs, I'm putting up air quotes, and they can be bad programs, right? And they are our subconscious beliefs and perceptions. These programs, first let me tell you what good and bad means. Good means things that kind of define success and happiness for our world in the level of consciousness that we're in. A good program would be something that gives us success and happiness in our world and how we see that in the level of consciousness that we're in. A bad program would be something that makes it very challenging for us in a certain area, that makes things hard for us, that these are the limitations we have a hard time overcoming. And all of these are also, in our cellular structure when we come in. So we have millions and billions of programs, right? We all have millions of good programs and millions of bad programs. Examples are, we have lots of good programs about our health. We have lots of good programs about wealth and prosperity. We have lots of good programs about relationship. We also have a lot of bad programs about health. We have bad programs about wealth and prosperity. We have bad programs about relationship. And you can go on into all the aspects of life: creativity, growth, fertility, sharing our gifts with the world, the knowledge we accumulate, what we're tapped into, the teachers that we find, the wisdom that we accumulate, meaning like, what are our stories, what's our intuition, and also how we evolve and gain higher states of consciousness. Every single area of life, it's actually our programs that are running what we experience. And I think you know this, but I just need to start with this touch point. It's our subconscious programs that are really running the show. So when we look at how much abundance we have, it's our subconscious programs that are running the show. And these come from karmas and samskaras and ancestry, the place we were born, the stars we were born under. There's all of these ways that we accumulate these programs. What our mother believed, what our father believed. Like, there are just tons of ways that we get these programs. Now, the trick to changing anything in our life, like improving our relationships, getting a soulmate, writing our book, like being able to get our gifts out in the world, having health, healing from our disease, having wealth and prosperity, everything in our life comes down to what these subconscious programs are saying. So, there's a way that we could be like, well, that's hard because they're subconscious. So what do we do? Man, I'm telling you, we dig deep and we go into the soul. And this is what stones really resonate with: deeper aspects of the self, deeper aspects, the soul, because the stones are also deep and they're also seed programs. They hold a lot of information, just like the crystal chip in us that holds all these programs. But what I'm here to tell you about today is there is a state of being. This is so magical. There's this one state of being that turns all of your bad programs off and turns all of your good programs on. What? What if you could, there is a state of being that turns all of your bad programs off and all of your good programs on. Now that is incredible. That is like super spiritual, multidimensional, epigenetic, change your life. This is the key to changing your life. So you have to know, what is this magical state that does this? The magical state that does this is gratitude. Gratitude. When we feel gratitude, all of our negative or bad programs turn off and all of our good programs turn on. That is a miracle. And thank God for these 70,000-year-old ancient teachings. One state of consciousness can turn off all of your bad programs about health and turn all of your good programs on about health. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Wow. So, okay, I've been exploring this for a while, and we know there are traditions around the world where gratitude is the magical state. It's like the cultivation of gratitude. And I want to talk to you about, there's a debate whether or not we can cultivate gratitude, or if gratitude is just something that comes. It's, if everything is just arising out of the field of all possibility in the eternal now, which it is, wouldn't also these states of consciousness just arise naturally, and that we have no control over them? They come and go like the wind. They arise naturally. They leave naturally. They're supposed to change, right? Because I'm sure you felt gratitude come over you before. It's one of the best feelings in the world. And then I'm sure you've noticed also times when you're like, I want to feel gratitude. I want to feel grateful for this. I'm trying to feel grateful right now, but I don't feel grateful. So it's like the state is not there. So the debate is, can we actually cultivate gratitude? Can we do something where we turn gratitude on? Or is it like the wind? It just comes and goes. So which one is it? Can we cultivate gratitude, or is it just grace when it comes? My friend was telling me this story of how he was in a really hard, horrible time of his life, and he walked into this field of flowers, and the flowers were in bloom, and he was walking across looking at all these flowers, and this state of gratitude just boom, like a train just came over him. And he felt such a causeless, natural state of gratitude that he started to cry. He said he'd felt nothing like that in his life, the power of that state of gratitude. He wasn't trying to cultivate that in that moment. It came, how people talk about the muse? Like you can catch a song or you can catch a creative act because the muse just comes and hits every once in a while. That is exactly what he described. It's these states can just come. I want to tell you the answer, though, that I think after walking with this for a while. Is it cultivation or is it grace? It is both. It is both. The state of gratitude is just going to come over you sometimes. And that's wonderful. And just like, soak it up and take a minute and be present with it when it does. And then become conscious of the times that you're trying to feel grateful and you don't. It's okay if you don't feel grateful. It's becoming conscious of just the authenticity of this moment is another thing. I'm not going to say don't fake gratitude. The ego might want to do that sometimes. Just become conscious of the times when you're trying to force to feel grateful, because become conscious of the times when you really naturally don't feel grateful, and that's okay. But the answer is both. We can cultivate gratitude, and that process is something that is so important in the generation of light and the amplification and the raising the vibration of space and what we can do in our own being to change space, change land, change the earth, working with crystals and working with ourselves. How do we cultivate gratitude? The whole process is making offerings. There are other ways to do this, but making offerings is something that, you can sit with a journal, and everything that you write on the line about what you're grateful for is like making an offering. When you write that, it's like, thank you for this, thank you for this, thank you for this. You can take flowers from your yard and collect them and offer them. Every petal you put down, you say, thank you for this, thank you for this. You might not feel gratitude, but once you start saying, thank you for this in my life, thank you for this, you actually start cultivating the state and you actually start feeling more grateful. It's amazing that you can actually cultivate this. Or you could take a handful of crystals, really small crystals or stones from the land or stones from a creek, and crystals are such a great technology for this because they're mirrors, they reflect you, they reflect your DNA, they get this, and then they can absorb, store, and then also hold and transmit that prayer once you put it down. You can take a small handful of crystals and say, thank you for this, thank you for this, thank you for this. You can blow those gratitudes into these and you can place them down. And you will actually cultivate a state of gratitude. And all of the good programs inside you turn on, and all of the bad programs inside you turn off. That is a miraculous state. It could potentially be the most important state we could ever have as a human walking through this life in the state of consciousness that we're in right now. So, when ancient cultures build the field, when they want to raise the vibration of space, when they want to amplify space, they will make offering after offering after offering. They will sit and create beautiful grids, beautiful stone blessings, beautiful mandalas of flowers. They will create whatever they need to do, and every single step is gratitude. Every single thing they lay down is gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just layers of gratitude prayer and hours of gratitude prayer. And you know this, right? In India, they'll have the puja, they'll have the fire, the sacred fire. Every single thing, every mantra that they do is gratitude, opening, invocation, gratitude, gratitude, thank you, thank you. And hours, overnight, right? All night processes. And so many traditions, the high Andean traditions are just absolutely the pinnacle of this. They are gratitudes. And what happens to the field? The field goes with tremendous light, because what's coming out of your being is tremendous light. And when I say light, I mean divine light. So there's a spiritual aspect of this. It's divine light, it's divinity. But when I say light, I also mean unified field energy or scalar energy, because that is the energy of us bridging into the fifth dimensional field. And that's why people, they don't get it. They don't get the 5D aspect or the scalar energy or the ether. It all sounds like hoodoo or voodoo or chi or, what we work with in the acupuncture meridians. It just all sounds like people, say that's like so goofy. But the reason why is because we actually have to open enough and bridge to these states, this scalar energy, this fifth dimensional field. So if you're not ready to go there, how could science ever go there? How could science go into that field? No, it's about us awakening into that field. We are the magical tool. And as we work with gratitude and open our hearts, we emit this tremendous light. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Gratitude is so simple to generate light, to regenerate space, and it changes your life. It turns all of your good programs on and all of your bad programs off. I can't imagine a more important thing. If I was healing from a disease or going through an issue or working something out with my partner or whatever we go through in life, once you turn those good programs on, those unconscious beliefs, perceptions, it's like the magic, the Midas touch that you have, the gold that you are, all the gold inside you turns on, and the limitations and the challenges turn off. I know I've said this like 3 times or something, but I don't care. I don't care to repeat myself, because let's really, if you're here in this episode, let's really get this inside. What starts to happen is that we experience then causeless gratitude, which is amazing. These states, ultimately, these states of consciousness are truly causeless. They are, you can have a cart of oranges and walk through the streets selling your oranges, and that's all you have. That's all you have. You're barefoot, you don't have a home. That's all you have. And you could be in an immense, immeasurable state of gratitude, because it's causeless gratitude. It's not dependent on things. And as we grow in consciousness, we begin to experience causeless gratitude, causeless love, causeless joy. And these states just come over. So the answer is we can cultivate this, and it's just going to come over us. Gratitude, such an incredible key to what we call land healing, what we call grid work. It's such an important key to healing with people. It's such an important key to raising the vibration of your space and generating light in your space. And if you're going to do if you have a healing clinic, right? Start the day with gratitudes, offerings with your crystals. Make a gratitude grid. Turn the light on in that space. Turn all your good programs on. Turn off your bad programs. Toggle that switch and generate tremendous light from your own being by just getting into a state of gratitude. If you are going to create some kind of ceremony or sacred ceremony, there's nothing more protective than light. There's nothing more protective than the generation of light from your being. So I want to bridge this over to the stones and let you know that there are stones that are resonant with this state of gratitude. And one of them is lapis lazuli. If you look at a stone and you look at the way that it's been used throughout time, the way that it's interacted with humanity, okay? They have their own life and their own destiny, and Mother Earth created all of these minerals for a reason. They have a spirit, and they have a purpose, and they have a Tao. And you can learn things from them by looking how they interact with humanity. And something interesting about how lapis lazuli has offered herself, I always think these receive in gratitude, give in love. That is the line I always think around lapis lazuli: receive in gratitude, give in love. And if I watch what she does with humanity, it is amazing to see her around the Inca Empire, the Indian people, all of the spiritual traditions of India, huge in Egypt. If you see her come up, what she does is she's incredible with sacred adornment, and she comes onto kings and queens and rich people, and it's about It's not just about rich people. It's about when you work with lapis lazuli, when she comes to you, she's giving you riches. She's giving you abundance. It's all, and it's not just worldly abundance. It can be worldly abundance is totally fine. You can ask for a truck, you can ask for a car, you can ask for a home. Worldly abundance is important for humans. We need things. But you can also ask for spiritual gifts or spiritual abundance. So it's worn by, great masters and great gurus and great teachers, and then all the way to kings. So it's about worldly and spiritual treasures and abundance and richness. Richness is a big key word. It's resonant. If you watch it with humanity, it's resonant with richness, feeling rich. It's a state of gratitude, feeling rich. It's a state of gratitude, right? It's a state of abundance. And one of the reasons why lapis lazuli is resonant like this, and this is deep mechanics inside the whole classification of the stone and all these things, but I'll just briefly say one interesting thing about it is that it's so rich. When you look at a piece of lapis lazuli, it's so beautiful and blue. It just draws people to it. And it's the richness of color that is so vibrationally potent. And that richness vibrationally translates to us. And it works with us in humanity and draws us into what its own Tao and purpose is through that richness. So that is that connection. And you can feel the richness of lapis lazuli. You can make it the center of a gratitude grid. You can make it the center of a gratitude offering. You can make it the medallion that you wear. But that's its connection into this state of gratitude and this process of the generation and the genesis of light. And if you look at another stone, azurite is so rich, right? Both of these stones we make pigments from. They're so rich. This is where we get color from. Azurite is so rich in its color, same exact leapfrog across in connecting to its vibrational purpose. It's so rich in color that we use it for the generation of space and the regeneration of space. Like if you wanted to make a land more fertile, if you wanted to regenerate, grasses or plant life, if you wanted to regreen a desert, it's this richness that jumps across that's how these stones can tune in. You can tune into the state of gratitude through these very rich stones. And I just want to name one more, charoite, the purple stone from Russia. Charoite has a great richness to it as well and a great magic to it. And it has a beautifully rich chemical composition. So the first two, we lean into color so much for richness, but we can also catch the vibe of richness by looking at the richness of a chemical composition. Charoite has a very rich chemical composition and a lot of trace elements in this beautiful purple color. And it's another way to lean into this genesis of light through this magical state of gratitude. So, gratitude builds the field, the genesis of light through one of the most incredible states possible, probably the most life-changing state you can receive as grace or cultivate in your life is the state of gratitude. So remember that when you're out in the world and you're building a field and you're offering to the earth and you're creating safe places for people to heal and beyond. So thank you so much for coming to this episode. Yes, let's do this gratitude. Yes. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.